Hey my fellow druids, Sayar here bringing you a new video where we will see everything related to the best druid build to start and also reach the endgame in the safest and fastest way so you can play comfortably in the highest difficulties. Before continuing with the video, I remind you that we already have our Discord server ready for everyone who wants to join our druid community. There will be discussing builds, answering questions, and also looking for people who can be druid mentors within the community. So the link will be in the description and also in the channel description. It will also be greatly appreciated if you leave your like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. This way we'll reach more players around the world and our community can grow. Thanks. Okay my druids, let's get to the point explaining why I will start with this build and why I also recommend that you start with it, besides being probably the only S-tier druid build this season. We'll section the experience of playing with Pulverize from the start to the endgame, which could be Torment 2, where most people usually reach with more high-end gear before perfecting everything and scaling up to Torment 4. Let's go with leveling, and we'll be honest here. Pulverize is probably not the fastest street build and we all know that, but this season we especially have quite a few limitations compared to the last one. Starting with the mechanics of powers we were used to in previous seasons, this new season we won't have the super powerful advantage to boost our classes, like powers that guarantee criticals all the time or amplify damage by 800%, just by keeping said power. And that made most builds very strong and require less gear and lower levels. But now the situation is different. The powers we get are kind of bonus to complement the final experience in different activities, like movement speed, more armor, more fortify, things like that. Therefore, we must focus on the following, and that's why I choose this build to start and transition to the endgame is the safest way possible. Pulverize has a lot of advantage over other druid builds this season. The most important are the high base damage, the number of aspects we can take advantage of with this build, the defense when in bird form, which is very important especially this season, and the incredible boost it gets when we find the Rotting Lightbringer. All these combined advantage make the build safe to be your starter build. It also has all these positive points that I will tell you now. Leveling a little slower but safer for most players, great base damage and one of the highest for our core skill at the start of the game, plus it hits in area making it easier to clear big packs of mobs. A good number of aspects we can look for in dungeons like Ursine Aura, Retaliation or Challenges Depth to use whenever we want. When approaching the endgame, the chance to drop unique items increases, and if you get the Rotting Lightbringer, the damage jump is the biggest we have for the druid. On top of all this, when reaching level 60, we can enhance it with Paragon points and glyphs to further increase the build's damage. And there are 2 points where it stands out exponentially at the start. The speed at which you can kill bosses like Belial, and most importantly, being able to bring your glyphs to level 100, meaning the max level. All these things make Pulverize the safest pick at the start to complete the full game experience without problems. You will also be able to farm your favorite builds while Pulverize does the dirty work, since it's the best druid build this season. So let's start with the starter version of Pulverize. I will show you the key aspects, items and tips to progress smoothly in the first levels. One is always wondering what's best or whether this item should be a keep or not, and you start to get it tangled, but here, as I show you in my guide, you will have a reference on which affixes to prioritize on your items, like willpower, armor, and resistances. Since it's the solid base to safely progress, increasing damage and defenses at the same time. Other secondary affixes could be max life and attack speed. And with this, you will have more than enough to advance comfortably. These affixes count for any starting item, whether it's a rare yellow item or a legendary. It's pretty simple, really just make sure our items have these affixes, as they are the ones that will help us the most. Let's go with some key aspects for this build. The first is Ursine Aura, since it adds the Earth skill tag to Pulverize and allows us to use passives like Crushing Earth or Defiance. Therefore, it increases damage. Another key aspect could be Retaliation, since it significantly increases our core skill damage. And believe me, at the start, the buff from this aspect feels real. Another aspect that could increase our damage is Challenges Depth, since we will be using Poison Creeper at the start to poison enemies, and this will synergize with our aspect. The interesting thing about these 3 aspects is that we can find them in dungeons. For example, the Ursine Aura aspect can be found in the Belfry Sacred dungeon in Hawesor. All the other aspects are related to improving defenses, like aspect of Might or Juggernaut, except for one, the Shockwave aspect, which we won't find immediately, we will have to wait until it drops. Honestly, I haven't had bad experience with the aspect, as it's always dropped for me to use. So if it drops for you, use it as soon as possible. It's a great addition to the build. Also, I have this aspect here with their respective items so you can guide yourself. I leave the unique items gradient that you could use if any drop for you. Obviously, the first is Rotten Lightbringer, not much to say about it. The other two I recommended most are Insatiable Fury and Basilisk Sprayer, since both increase our damage and above all, defenses. Therefore, they are really good early items for Pulverize build. The skill tree doesn't need much explanation, honestly, at early levels. Only a few points might be relevant for leveling, and they are as follows. Anyway, they are described in the guide, which by the way is now incredible better made, with better info for you to guide yourselves and looks better overall. First, we have Wincher, to recover spirit faster and also move faster. Obviously max Pulverize to gain more damage, and we have a couple of defensive skills to resist more in battle like Earthen Bulwark and Bloodhole to increase damage and spirit regeneration. Poison Creeper is a good addition at the start to poison and take advantage of some passives like Envenom or aspects like Channeling Depths. Petrify before moving to Grizzly Rage is a good option. It helps with CC and amplifies critical strike damage. And the key passive at a point as soon as you can. In this case, we use Ursine Strange. Paragon is really simple at the start since we get a few points to complete the first page and move to the second without issues. Here I leave you the first 3 pages, which are key to start strong with this build along with their glyphs. We start with Dominate Glyph, and when we have our Roaring Lightbringer, it guarantees overpowered hits, so the Dominate Glyph is key to increase damage from the start. The second page I recommend is Earthen Devastation, since this season it receives a pretty good modification from the start and a small buff. Now just obtaining this node gives our Earth skills 70% more critical strike damage. Before you had to have a condition versus crowd control enemies to get the max buff from the node. Now it's much better. And to finish your journey in the starter version, we go for Survival Instinct plus Keeper. You will also have a section here showing how to place this build. Okay, my druids, after following the first part of the guide, we should move to the no-mythic version, which is more complete. Here you can also start doing some important tempering or master working so the build reaches its full potential. Also in this version we can start using Grizzly Rage as our ultimate, which further increases our damage. Anyway, everything is great and here so you can follow it and leave comments about things we could add to the planners. As you can see, Pulverize will again be the king, but for good reason. We have a very complete build with a variety of items we can take advantage of. With the various skills we can use from the start, most aspects are also useful for this build. And the best part is that it's the best build to transition to the endgame and scale in the pit faster than any other build. This will give you a huge advantage to level up your glyphs and defeat bosses at high difficulties faster, which means better gear and higher chances for mythics. Without a doubt, my dreads, I will go with Pulverize to not overthinking things. It gives us everything we need, it's balanced in every way. We will leave it here for today's video. I hope I had provided the info you were looking for to start your druid the best way. I will be streaming on season release day. Here in my country it's a bit late, but we will make the effort to show a few hours of druid progressions. I will see you there with your Pulverize build, which is in the description of this video so you can follow it. Don't forget to leave your like and subscribe, it will be greatly appreciated to keep growing and reach more players around the world. See you in the sanctuary.